you can have premature seal failures. These mechanical seals are in that oil chamber, so you don't really have to worry about that. We also have a moisture sensor that is standard on the Avant series. So this will send a message back to the panel and back to the user saying, hey, there's some humidity or there's some water in the oil chamber. It's time to change your seals. So the next thing that we're going to focus on is the performance range, the horsepower and the discharge sizes. Jeff, you want to go ahead and talk about that?
That's right. Thanks, Joe. 5 horsepower 3-phase to 175 16-inch discharge. We go from 3-inch to 16-inch with these pumps. We go up to 280 feet of head pressure plus. So this is a very wide range here that we're talking about, Joe, and there's a lot of different features and things that we do with our impellers that can help with the hydraulics. Talk about that a little bit with us.
Yeah, so we have a lot of different hydraulic options. I'm going to start talking about the MQB. MQ stands for Avant, and the B is going to be our open channel style impellers that you can see on the table here. So these are designed for solids handling. And it's going to be one of our more common options. Just talking about those wide ranges that we're going to have available. That's going to be with our MQB series. It's paired with the anti-clogging system that you'll see on the cutaway here, down on the volute. This anti-clogging system paired with the open channel style impeller is going to prevent any blockage and make sure that we are passing the solids that it's supposed to pass. We move on to the MQC next. That's our chopper style impeller. It's an open channel impeller, but it's got a chopping knife paired with it, as you can see there. It's a hard cast iron, and with that chopping knife, if there's anything that can't pass through that open channel, that knife will help chop up that material, whether it's foreign material, fibrous bodies, solids, and things like that. And the MQU has a vortex style impeller. Now this impeller is recessed in the wet end to make sure that we have optimal solids passage. So this is larger solids than what you would want to try and pass with the MQB open channel style impeller. We move on to the MQG and our MQS. That's grinder and high pressure. And that impeller is pictured here. That's going to be for high heads and low flows. On the MQG grinder, this impeller is going to be paired with this grinding system here. It's got 3 blades that are rotating to cut fibers and light solid bodies in any wastewater application or where you might see foreign materials. On the MQS, that is our high pressure pump. And again, that's going to be for high head, low flow applications. There's going to be a strainer on the bottom of that pump to make sure that no solids or foreign material is getting in there, because we want to make sure we're working with clean water on the high pressure style pump. So we've got a lot of options here. What applications are we going to be putting these pumps into, Jeff?
Well, we're also going to cover a lot of ground there too, Joe. We're looking at the municipal sewage and wastewater treatment and collections market. Obviously, with our FM explosion proof and IE3 premium efficiency motors, we're going to have a safe, cost-effective way to deal with that municipal waste. Those government and municipal installations they're always concerned a little bit about safety and also about energy savings. So we've got them covered there. Exactly. So any of our pumps that you see here, any of our impeller types and hydraulic types will work well in the municipal market. The chopper pump, the open channel impellers are going to pass big solids. The vortex impeller will be used many times when you need to pass solids and you need a little bit of a higher head type of application. So we're talking about a lot of municipal sewage and wastewater, but also commercial and building trades wastewater. These are the schools, the prisons, the apartment buildings, any building that has a sump, anybody that's using that to remove any kind of waste there. Also, we're talking about stormwater applications. We've got 2-pole all the way down to 8-pole motors. So the slower speed, higher flow with the bigger impeller type pumps are going to be used a lot in stormwater applications. That could be muni or commercial building trades. The industrial market, something we're really excited about with our new chopper pump, is the industrial capability of that pump. We're talking about food processing. We're talking about seafood processing. talking about any of those kinds of applications where where you need to cut up stalks or leaves or anything that might normally wrap around an impeller. The Vortex impeller works well for that, but we really like that chopper pump capability. The agricultural market is also another place where you get stems and hay and grass and leaves and things like that, things that are flushed out of barns, things that come out of the field and end up in holding ponds. The Vortex impeller works well for that because it doesn't allow anything to wrap around it, but that chopper pump again is going to be something that we really like in those applications. The high head impeller is also a very good one for irrigation. The agricultural market sometimes can use that pump for irrigation, but we also like it as a water feature pump. Surumi has other pump lines that deal with water features, but now with the special high head version of the Avant line, we can get into some more of those water features, even water parks and things like that. We're talking about the big high volume pumps that we use. They're really good for water parks and things like that as well. So we've got a lot of things that we can do with different applications in different markets.
Yeah, so we've got the main impeller styles, but is there a way that we can really customize these pumps?
Absolutely, that's a good question, Joe. Trimmable impellers is something that the Surumi Avant line has that we haven't previously had before here at Surumi. We're talking about custom fitting to an application. We're going to take a large diameter impeller, we're going to machine it down to a smaller diameter because we really want to focus and zoom right in on that performance, that exact performance point, that the duty point that our customer is looking for. We also have adjustable impellers. They can be done in the shop, they can be done in the field, but maintaining tolerance and maintaining performance is really important throughout the life of the impeller, and our impeller is adjustable. We also have, as Joe pointed out in our ACS, we've got a replaceable wear ring in the pump that's part of our non-clogging ACS system. It has the spiral groove that moves solids away from the impeller. That's a replaceable piece. So we can adjust the impeller up to that to maintain tolerance, and then when the wear ring begins to wear away, we can replace that. So we've got a lot of applications that we can cover. We've got a wide range. There's a lot of different ways that we can install these pumps, Joe. Can you tell us something about that?
Absolutely. So there's, like Jeff said, there's a wide range of applications, and there's going to be a couple main ways that they're installed. You're going to have a wet pit or you're going to have a dry pit installation. So let's go ahead and look at this here. With a wet pit installation, you can do it with a coupling device on a vertical discharge or a horizontal discharge, pictured here left and right. Or you can do a freestanding installation for more mobility with a flexible hose or a hard pipe installation. One of the things about the Avant series is that we have a stainless steel handle, and on the larger horsepowers it's actually going to be adjustable. And this is going to help with lowering the pump into the pit and make sure we're maintaining balance when we're installing on these coupling devices. When you look at the dry side, you either got a vertical installation or a horizontal installation. And what's great about this is the Avant series is that we're going to be able to adapt to a lot of existing systems out there. Now, one of the things that you may notice is that with the wet pit installation, the motor's going to be cooled by that water or whatever the liquid is that it's being submerged in. But when you look at the dry pit installation, there's no water cooling that motor. Jeff, what exactly is helping to cool that motor in a dry installation?
Well, when you know that you're not going to have water, you know you're not going to be submerged, typically you use some sort of cooling method or cooling system to keep the pump cool. As the oldest member of this team, I can talk about the old days, back when people used to actually run a water hose on top of an operating pump. When they knew they were going to be in a low water situation or dry pit, they're actually putting cold water on the outside of the pump. Well, that wasn't a very cost-effective way to do things. So we came up with the idea of a cooling jacket. A cooling jacket is an external jacket that slips over the motor housing. And in between the motor housing and the cooling jacket is a space where water can run. And water helps cool the motor. A non-submerged pump needs to have some way to dissipate the heat. So when we use the pumped media in this old style cooling jacket, we're actually taking the water that's being pumped out, whatever our process is, and we're circulating some of that in between the motor jacket and the cooling jacket to get that heat dissipated. Well, that's not a very nice way of doing this either, and one of the reasons is because you don't know what's going to be in that water. Sometimes it could be abrasive. In other words, it's wearing on your motor housing. That's not a good thing. It could also carry solids and things that can clog the jacket. That's why we've come with the Surumi Avant line, a closed loop cooling system. Closed loop cooling system is a double jacketed stainless steel outer jacket over the top of the motor housing that has a glycol solution, which isn't part of the pumped media, separate from all of that, and it circulates inside that cooling jacket and keeps the heat dissipated off of that motor. Now, it's circulated by a highly efficient axial flow impeller that's separate also from the oil chamber. It's up above the seals in the oil chamber, and it circulates that liquid, that glycol solution around inside of it. Now, we're not worried about anything else getting in there because it's a closed loop system.
Jeff, that is a cool system. Are we the only ones that have a cooling system like that?
Actually, Joe, we're not the only ones that have what's called a closed loop cooling system, but there is something different about ours that I think customers are going to like out there. In the other types of closed loop cooling systems, not the Surumi Avant, if the seal fails, if the upper seal fails, you actually get pumped media that actually breaches the seal and gets into the motor, but also gets in between the motor housing and the cooling jacket. It can cause clogging and problems in there. With our system, the seal failure does not allow any of that kind of substance to get into the glycol solution. So we actually have the true closed loop, closed circuit cooling system on the market with Surumi Avant.
That is very impressive. So we've talked about a lot of things today. The cooling system, the customization, the internal features. And what I want to focus on now is how are we going to support the Surumi Avant series? We're going to do that in a couple different ways. We're going to have technical support, whether it be our engineering staff or our sales staff, outside staff like myself, Jeff, our other regional managers, and the inside staff that you all know and love. We've got to have training available, whether that be technical or sales-based. And we're going to continue being responsive. That's something that you expect from Surumi. Quick response times. This is going to be something that we pride ourselves on, and it's going to be very important to us. So as we move forward, make sure to follow us on all of our social media pages, as I said before. That's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. There's going to be a lot of information, a lot of videos, a lot of opportunities to learn more about the product. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask now or reach out to your Surumi sales rep. Jeff?
We're very excited about the new Surumi Avant line, and we think you will be too. Be safe out there.